Hello everyone, this is Dr. Mansi Kotecha, and today I'll be sharing some of my knowledge regarding tissue biomechanics to you all. So starting with the basics, connective tissue. Connective tissue is characterized by widely dispersed cells and a large volume of extracellular matrix. Cells In cells, fibroblast is the basic cell of the most of the connective tissues. It produces the extracellular matrix too. Depending on its mechanical and physiological environment, it specializes to become chondroblast, which forms cartilage, tenoblast, which form tendons, or osteoblast, which form bones. Now fibers. Fibers are also known as fibrillar component of extracellular matrix. It is mostly made up of collagen and elastin. Collagen mostly gives the tensile strength to the tissue, whereas elastin gives the elasticity to the tissue. Ground substance, also known as interfibrillar component of extracellular fluid, contains water and protein. It helps in the development, movement, and proliferation of the tissue. Now, moving to the structure and composition of the bone. Composition of bone: 50 to 70% of the bone is made up of inorganic materials or mineral, which is hydroxyapatite crystals. 20 to 40% is made up of organic matrix, which is type 1 collagen fibers. 5 to 10% is water, and there is some amount of lipids too. In the structure of bone, we can see the outer part of the bone is compact bone, and the inner part of the bone is spongy bone. The inner part of bone has a trabecular system, and the outer layer of the bone is known as periosteum. It houses the precursor cells as well as blood vessels for the nourishment of the bone. Wool's law. Wool's law states that the bone will adapt to the loads under which it is placed. If the load is on a particular bone or particular part or area of the bone will remodel itself over time to become stronger to resist that loading. The internal architecture of the trabecular undergoes adaptive changes, followed by secondary changes to the external cortical portion of the bone. The inverse is also true, like if the loading of the bone decreases, the bone will become less dense and weaker due to the lack of stimulus required continued for remodeling. This reduction in bone density or osteopenia is known as stress shielding. Now, structure of the cartilage. So there are three types of cartilage mainly found in our body, that is fibrocartilage, elastic, and hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is also known as articular cartilage of the body. So if you can see in the figure, there are many zones of the cartilage: the superficial zone, transitional zone, deep zone. The area between deep zone and the bone is known as tide mark, which is the interface of deep zone and subchondral bone. And fibril or fibers are covered with a membrane inside a fascicle. Now, group of this fascicle is covered by endotendon or fascicular membrane. Collectively, the one or two or three fascicular membranes, group of fascicular membranes, are again covered by a thin membrane known as epitenon, and this epitenon is further covered with a layer of paratenon. Paratenon is double layer sheet of alveolar tissue. Paratenon and epitenon, collectively known as peritendon. This peritendon can become a synovium filled sheath known as tenosynovium or tendon sheath, which is resistant to high level of friction, and protects tendon and allows tendon to slide past adjacent structures Looking at the load deformity curve, when load is applied to the connective tissue, initially the cream straightens with a little force, which we can see in the two region. Then the collagen fibers are stretched at the elastic region, which begins at the point A. After the elastic region, which ends at point B, if further force is applied, it causes residual change into the tissue structure. The Young's modulus or modulus of elasticity. The modulus of elasticity is a measure of material's stiffness. Force applied would be a tensile or a compressive force. A value of stiffness can be found by dividing the change in stress by the change in strain for any two consecutive set points in the elastic range of the curve. The inverse of stiffness is compliance. If the slope of the curve is steep and the modulus of elasticity is high, the material exhibits high stiffness and low compliance. If the slope of the curve is gradual and the modulus of elasticity is low, the material exhibits low stiffness and high compliance. For shear modulus or modulus of rigidity is the measure of rigidity of the body when shear force is applied. A value of rigidity can be found by dividing the change in shear stress by the change in shear strain for any two consecutive set points in the elastic region of the curve. Comparing load deformation and stress strain curves. From looking at the figure from 0.0 to A in two region, very little force is required to deform the tissue as a wavy cream pattern is straightened out. A minimal amount of force produces a relatively large amount of deformation. Stress is low, strain is typically in 1 to 2% of the range. Clinical example involving the two regions includes test for ligament integrity for non-injured ligaments and the slack taken up in a tendon by its attached muscle force when it is transmitted to the bone. In region E to P, which is elastic region, elongation or strain has a linear relationship with stress. Each additional unit of applied force creates an equal stress and strain into the tissue. In this region of the curve, collagen fibrils are being stretched and are resisting to the applied force. When the load is removed, the ligament or tendon will return to its pre-stressed dimension, although this return will take some time. This level of loading includes the stresses and strain that occurs with normal activities and typically extends to about 4%. In plastic region, which is from B to C, the failure of collagen fibers begins and the ligament or tendon is no longer capable of returning to its original length after the force is removed. Clinical examples include grade 1 and grade 2 ligament sprains and tendon strain. Recovery after this level of loading requires considerable amount of time. It involves aspects of healing such as synthesis of new tissue and cross-linking of collagen molecules. From point C and further, if force continues to be applied beyond the plastic region, the remaining collagen fibril experiences increased stress and undergo rapid rupture sequentially, creating overt failure or macrofailure of the tissue. In the case of a ligament or tendon, if the failure occurs in the middle of structure through a distribution of connective tissue fiber, it is known as rupture. If failure occurs in bony attachment of ligament or tendon, it is called as avulsion. When failure occurs within bony tissue, it is known as fracture. Slow loading rate tends to create avulsion or fractures, whereas fast loading rates create mixed substance tears. Thank you.